Hi everyone, welcome to the Ravit Show. We are here at NVIDIA GTC in Washington, and I'm super excited to be with Joe from DDN. Joe, welcome to the Ravit Show. Super excited to chat today.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here. Thanks for coming over here. Appreciate
Yes, Joe, I know we'll be talking a lot about the AI, ROI, industry impact,
Yep.
AI factories, and what's happening at DDN. But just before getting into that, would you like to quickly introduce yourself? Tell us more about what you do at DDN.
it. For sure. So Joe Corvaia, Senior Vice President for our Americas business and our worldwide channels.
Right.
So-
Thanks, Joe, for letting us know. I know you talk to a lot of customers and you've been back to back, but thanks for taking the time out. And I'm excited to chat about various things. So let's deep dive into it. Let's start with ROI,
Yep.
because that is something which I feel is very important when we talk to a lot of CEOs who are wanting to, obviously do AI and wanting to get into much deeper into AI.
Right.
So what separates those real ROI from those stuck in pilots? If you can share a little bit about that.
Sure. So I think first of all, I mean the pilots are part of the process, right?
Right.
I mean it's AI is a lot about iteration, and I think the going stat right now is like 80% of AI projects don't even get out of pilot, right?
So true.
The ones that ultimately do and how to get to ROI, I think really is driven around business outcomes, right? And the advice that I tend to give our customers and partners is be very, very specific about the outcomes you're trying to drive and what problem are you trying to solve. Because if you can ultimately name what the problem you're trying to solve, a lot of AI workflows are around very specific things.
Yeah.
So I'd say that certainly business outcomes is one. The other is end-to-end infrastructure planning. Being very, very meticulous, and this is something that the CEOs tend to not get involved in, right? Because it's a C-suite exec. What they want is they want results. But the infrastructure planning part is really, really important to nail it from the beginning, and make sure that you're investing in technologies that allow you to get peak optimization and efficiency of the dollars that you're deploying. And it ultimately comes down to, I mean, what a lot of them are looking for is return on invested capital, and how do I get the greatest return?
I love it. I love those insights. And you mentioned about a very important point is, first of all, not every AI project is actually successful.
Right.
But at the same time, there's a thin line where which actually goes to the pilot as well,
Right.
which actually goes to the success, and most of them are in the pilot. But I'm kind of curious to also learn a little bit about the infrastructure as strategy, right?
Right,
That is
right.
very important piece for the enterprise leaders out there. You've said AI success isn't about also buying GPUs. We were chatting off air, and this is what comes up. So how should CEOs view data infrastructure as a business strategy, and how can they proceed on that front?
Sure. So I think, look, the infrastructure is a strategic asset.
Right.
Right. So the success of their AI projects is going to come down to the decisions that they make in the type of infrastructure they deploy.
Right.
And also certainly the skill sets that they have behind it. So I think when you think about infrastructure as a strategy, it's a lot about, again, it's driving efficiency, driving optimization.
Right.
How tightly integrated is my infrastructure into the ecosystem for me to maximize those investments? And again, it all comes back to ROI and return. I mean, that's essentially what many of these folks need to drive. Now, I would tell you that in a lot of the early days of the kind of the AI movement, some of the efficiencies of infrastructure have been to some degree an afterthought. And what happens is infrastructure gets deployed, strategies start to move forward,
Yep.
and then it's a wait a second, something went wrong.
Yes.
We're not getting peak utilization of the infrastructure.
True.
Where are these dollars going? Where is the money? Where am I burning money that maybe I could have maximized my dollars with faster training, better
Yep.
customer experience, and ultimately it comes down to what are the best business outcomes I can drive for my end
Yeah,
customers.
100%. I agree. And this is actually very important when it comes to obviously enterprise leaders wanting to also make sure where their infrastructure strategy is in place, and there are a lot of factors that kind of come into the game. I'm kind of also curious to learn about scaling AI factories. I know Jensen yesterday at the keynote mentioned a lot about AI factories, and we've been talking a lot, have been having different conversations around. But from DDN's point of view, how does DDN's new enterprise HyperPOD, built with Supermicro and powered by NVIDIA, right? Help enterprises scale from AI from pilot to exascale. Can you share a little bit about that?
Sure. So I think the first thing that I would say, like you said, I mean, the HyperPod is a joint collaboration and innovation between us, Supermicro, and NVIDIA, the NVIDIA AI data platform. So a couple of things that it does. I mean, one, it's like I like to call it the easy button for tuning and AI inference. Is that it's a pre-engineered platform that really allows enterprise. It allows so we'll say really many enterprise industries, sovereign clouds, and the gigafactories, the AI factories, to be able to deploy at different increments, and it brings down the barrier of entry to getting into the systems.
True.
So it's kind of what we believe to be a critical innovation of enabling the enterprise to really start to take advantage of these technologies, and being able to do it in a scalable but a pre-engineered design that is 100% optimized for doing the job that you're setting it out to do, which is high performance, high scale inference or tuning.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thanks for sharing that. I'm kind of also curious to know from a customer point of view, how and where are you seeing the biggest impact of AI infrastructure for DDN's customers? If you can share a little bit about that.
Oh yeah, well, so I mean, I think, so I'd say from an industry's perspective, I mean, maybe we'll start off with just like healthcare and life sciences, drug discovery, precision medicine, genomics, artificial intelligence technologies giving physicians more time in their day to care for patients and better quality of life. Financials is another one, right? It's algorithmic trading, it's fraud analytics, it's risk management. So I'd say that it's like those are probably two of the biggest industries we see now, and you've got a lot of places across oil and gas, automotive, certainly with self-driving cars and those technologies. And then of course it's the companies that are ultimately powering that innovation. So it is the sovereign clouds, it is the what we'll call them like the next generation hyperscalers that are the NVIDIA cloud providers. Really taking advantage of these types of technologies. And again, we're all caring about the same thing, which is max efficiency of the dollars we're spending.
So true.
And how do we do this in the best possible way?
Yeah, this is very helpful, Joe, that you mentioned. I'm kind of also, since you talk to a lot of customers, you talk to a lot of leaders, I'm kind of wanting to learn if you have any advice for those enterprise leaders, those CEOs who are wanting to make that next investment in AI. What would be your advice? What should they be careful about?
So I think it probably goes back a lot to the original question, right? It's being very, very clear about what are the outcomes I'm trying to drive, what is the problem I'm trying to solve, and how do I maximize my return on investment in the infrastructure assets that I'm making. Now, it can manifest itself in a lot of different ways, but speed, performance, max utilization are all top topics that you should be thinking about. And again, in the C-suite, I mean, they're generally having boardroom conversations around what are the things that we're trying to do. We want to get to market faster, we want better customer experience, we want more velocity, we want to increase margins. All of these things manifest themselves in the decisions that they make in the platforms and the technologies that they ultimately deploy, because these are the things that are powering underneath of it.
And I feel also every organization will always have a different goal to achieve, so they should be mindful of that goal, what they want to achieve, and it could go in various ways how they want to deploy AI into their systems.
There's usually hundreds or thousands of unique goals that they're trying to achieve, and being very, very crystal clear about what those goals are. Many of the enterprise customers that I would say are a little bit further along the AI evolution maturity scale.
Right.
Many of them have hundreds or even thousands of workflows that are active, and many of them are just an iteration.
Yeah,
right? There's
exactly.
a small percentage that actually moves that moves to production. So being very, very clear about what do I want to accomplish, what is the outcome, and also being crystal clear about the measurability and metrics around it. Okay, so how am I going to measure success of this project should be top of mind for anybody who's thinking about taking the next step.
I love it. These are great ways to, how you can have AI, you can go from pilot to production in a successful manner. So thanks for sharing that,
Right.
Joe. One last question that I
Sure,
have for
sure.
you is,
Please.
if folks want to learn more about obviously the use cases, the resources that DDN has, but also I know you'll put out a lot of content for the audience out there. Where can they find that? And if they want to follow you, which is the best place to follow?
So, for DDN, I think the best way to get us is ddn.com. There's tons of content out there.
Nice.
And certainly, reach out to us in any way. Is it a question to follow me specifically?
Yes, on maybe with social platforms.
Yeah, I mean, LinkedIn is where I am most of the time, so that's probably the best spot.
Awesome.
Yeah, but
this is great. Joe, thanks for sharing great insights.
Thank you, appreciate
today I
it.
learned a lot about, obviously, AI infra, scaling AI factories, how DDN is kind of helping their customers.
Right.
And pilot to production is always an important topic to chat.
Yes.
You shared some amazing insights. Thanks for doing this. We'll keep the conversation going.
Please,
But all
please.
the best for the rest of the conference
Thank
that
you for
you
taking
have.
the time. I appreciate it.
Thank you very
Okay,
much.
great
Appreciate
spend
it.
time.
Thank you everyone for joining us today.